Whose story? Whose story have they told? When they talk about tablets and scrolls, when they talk about writing on the walls, hieroglyphics from the soul, whose story have they told? Ancient stories that they told to the young from the old. Our elders don't even seem to know. Whose story have they told, or whose story have they stole? You call my story your own as a method of control? Whose story have they told? Greatest story never told, greatest story ever wrote. The motherland is our home. Whose story have they told when they changed her name to Africa? Drank blood from her life vein. Vlad the Impaler, Count Dracula. Whose story have they told? Who is the race of Adam? Whose story have they told when they said let us make man? Who is the Adamic race? Who are the pre-Adamites? Who came out of the caves? Who are the children of the light? What color were the first slaves? How were those slaves treated? Could they buy their own freedom? Were they tortured? Were they beaten? Who is the father of time? Who's the mother of civilization? Are we man or mankind? Who destroyed God's nation? Did dinosaurs really exist, or was it all only a myth? Are there creatures underground waiting to come out of the abyss? Who are the aboriginals? Asiatics were the leaders who rewrote our story and named our land Pangea. Why are lies advertised but the truth is taboo? Why won't they respect my mind if I'm not a fool in their school? Whose story are they telling in the year 1619 when my ancestors were brought here in 1555? Whose story are they telling when they taught us evolution? Who helped white men revolt in every white revolution? Whose story are they telling, or whose story are they selling? If you're black, then you're cursed, but if you're white, you fell from heaven. Whose story are they telling when they talk about Israel? Everything I do is a crime, but yet they're the real criminals. Whose story are they telling when they talk about the prophets? Every time God's incarnate, devils tried their best to stop them. Whose story are they telling? Check the lies they've been spreading. They love war and bloodshed, but words are my greatest weapon, and unity is our only hope for protection. I'm feeling like Miss Tublin, referencing the North Star for direction. Whose story were they telling in the movie The 10 Commandments? Why are all the actors white when the real prophets were all black men? Whose bright idea was it to miseducate the Negro? Peace to Carter G. Woodson, my poetry is his sequel. And speaking of the Negro, that's a word I'll never understand. Our oppressor made a nigger, our creator created a man. Whose story were they telling? Do you know Samson and Delilah? Why do we resist the truth, but yet we fall in love with liars? Who wrote the Torah, the Holy Bible, and the Noble Quran? The truth we wrote in those books, more powerful than nuclear bombs. They got us thinking there's no hope, so my people sell their souls. We got awards for coon rolls, so we boycott award shows. And anyway, who's the Academy, and what have they really done? Their opinions, straight blasphemy. Their credibility is none. And whose story were they telling when they mention Madonna? The Virgin Mary is a black woman. She has features like our mamas. So they took our mother Mary and reduced her to a mammy. Hung Jesus from a tree, mutilated whole families. So-called white historians, that's the original crook, because they stole black history for copyrights and white books. They say you want to keep something from blacks, hide it in a book. But their books are full of lies, that's why we don't even bother to look. Whose story will they tell? The clay or the potter? Which one is more sick? Is it the patient or the doctor? The Constitution written by white hands says I'm only 3/5 of a man. Are we talking black history or the history of African Americans? Black history, African American history, are they really one and the same? That's something preachers, politicians, and professors just can't explain. Whose story will they tell when they talk about police brutality? Whose story will they tell when they write about genocide casualties? Whose story will they tell when they discuss great inventions? Will the white man get all the credit? Will the black man even be mentioned? Will the white woman be exalted? Will they denounce the black woman? Who taught you how to sew, how to clean? Who taught you homemade cooking? Whose story will they tell when they mention crack sales? Which one is really to blame, the organism or the cell? Will they persecute black men and send him straight to hell? Or will they condemn the white man who invented the drug as well? Whose story will you believe? Is it mine or is it his? Are we humans producing children or are we goats producing kids? Whose story will you believe when they write about the Great War? Should we live by the gun or is the pen mightier than the sword? Whose story will you believe? Whose statements? Which language? Will they crucify Obama or say he tried to make changes? Whose story will you believe? My story or his facade? Would you believe me if I told you that the black man was really God? Whose story do you believe?